Hey, hi everyone. What's up again? So today I am taking one of the sessions also. I am also the MC, the host alongside Mayur. So today we are going to talk about PWAs, Progressive Web Apps, the what, why, and hows of it. And obviously PWA is using modern web capabilities, whatever is web capable of today. Now I'm Arpan, and alongside with me, you can see on the slide Raj is also there. So we both prepared these slides which are going to share the talk with you on. All right, so let's move on to the content that is going to be there. First, as the slides are titled, what, why, and how. And second, a part of how it is implemented in real life, the names of those technologies, how they work, and certain tools that you can use for PWS and certain patterns that you can use to promote your PWS. All right, so let's begin by going a little bit back into the time, just like Dhananjay went into it. So when initially web was introduced, it was more like websites. We use the term right now today also, but it's kind of a legacy term wherein it refers to web and site. So how do I mean to it to be legacy? It is basically your computer, or computer was there at that point of time. So your computer was connected to the internet. You clicked on something.html, and that file was served into your browser. Right? There was some styles which came upon later, and there was no like server side of things wherein you could get customized contents. Moving forward, when you started hosting dynamic websites which could host personalized contents. So there were like logical functions written. Even today, if you open any website, like you are browsing through YouTube right now, so you're getting personalized content on your probably the right hand side of your window wherein you see the suggested videos. So this is all catered to by a set of logical functions which are written on the server, and they establish your identity and get you personalized content. Okay, what happened after that? Well, you moved on to smaller devices with apps. Yes, there was mobile and you were browsing internet on it, but when came apps with as long back as we could go to those Samsung or Blackberries wherein they had customized apps, to today with Android and iOS, you have a lot of applications which you install and use, right? You go to the App Store or the Play Store, and then you download the app, it gets installed, you start using it. So these are all the things that we've seen now, till now, in terms of interacting with our digital devices. But let's move a little bit forward. The thought for me as a web developer is, can I just build websites or web applications with the skills of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that I have? Can I not, utilize these skills to cater better to my mobile users who are accessing my websites or my web applications? Well, depends. If you know about PWAs, you can. If you do not, then you can learn and then you can. So there is not an answer no. And obviously you can cater to those people. So let's see what is a PWA. Till now, we've gone through the journey of the web. Progressive web apps. Now, these are web applications which basically cater to the user, the native app experience. Now, what is a native app? Native app is something that you install from that Play Store or App Store, and you click on that icon, or you touch on that icon, I should say, and it opens up into an app which runs in full screen. What if I told you your web application could run in a similar manner? And when it runs in a similar manner, it is called as a progressive web application. So that is what is a progressive web application. Interesting. I mean, if you didn't know about it, obviously, if you knew about it, this is something that is already probably you've used it, and we are going to come about it, how it works. Moving on, what of progressive web apps entails? Okay, my app can access my camera, my app can access Bluetooth, and all of that. An app which is installed, the native app. For example, if you're using a social media website, it allows you to click pictures, it allows you to post, it allows you to probably record, or maybe record videos, record audio or video, right? Similarly, your progressive web apps are coming closer to native apps. So as mentioned earlier also, in the last talk by Dhananjay, there is a website called as whatwebcando.today, wherein you can see what all your browser is capable of. Yes. If you see, these are a brief set of things that I've shared with you in terms of audio and video captures, recording media, or accessing your file storage, or even running in offline mode, which is the most exciting thing for you as a developer, that your user is able to interact with your app even when there is no internet. So these are all the things, including Bluetooth, including NFC. So NFC is not there. There are certain things which are not there, including USB is there. And you can definitely send those push notifications which show up in your notifications drawer or at the top, right? So that sums up. You can basically get very close to these features that your native app has as compared to your progressive web app, or I would say right now your web application. We are yet to build a progressive web app, right? So we'll go by that. Now let's move to the next one. How is it possible? How do you basically create progressive web app? Now, ideally, when you open a website in Chrome, Google Chrome, or any other browser, you interact directly with the server. Okay, so your website sends requests to the server and gets responses and displays it to you. But there is a technology, a piece of technology called as service workers. This is a JavaScript file, or probably you could convert it into a set of files, wherein it acts as a proxy. Proxy means a middle layer between communication between your mobile and your server. So whatever requests are going from your mobile or mobile device to your server, and the responses which are coming in, this layer can access them all. So it can manipulate your requests, it can store all those things, or it can serve them in the background, or even notifications. And if I just move on to a little bit more description of this is how it works. Basically, your service worker stands between your network and your page. Okay, so browser, service worker, and network. In case network is not there, you can tell your service worker to cache certain URLs, certain requests. And during that point of time, when the network is not there, you can tell the service worker that whatever things were cached when the network was there, it can serve it. So for example, you're running a news application. So whenever a user comes to you, your progressive web app or your web application for now, what happens is that it will detect whether there is internet or not. If there is no internet, then service worker will get the last piece of news or set of news objects which were there served to the user or stored in the app, cached by it. And as soon as the network comes up, in the background, it will start interacting with the network, getting the latest items, and then it will serve to the user. If you've ever used Wikipedia on mobile, it gives you an option to download it, the article in the background. How does it do it? Well, for you to think. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Why should you be using a progressive web app? Well, one, ever seen that add to home screen button in probably if you've used Flipkart Lite or Facebook Lite or any other applications Lite version? Well, that particular thing adds to your home screen the icon of that app. Well, simple. It can be launched just like an application from your home screen. It will run in the full screen, and it is reliable, as in when there is no internet, you can code or write logic to your service worker, wherein it will serve whatever is cached, right? So it will not be showing your downers, or that is why I highlighted in red. You do not need to tell the user that I cannot serve anything on this web application because there is no internet. Well, you have a solution now. Next, it is fast. Why fast? Well, every time earlier when your user did not have a progressive web app, that is something added to their home screen, they would go to Chrome. They would either put a bookmark or maybe use a bookmark, or they would type in the address and then they would reach that web application or website of yours, right? Here, you can add it to the home screen. Second, since it can cache things, so it is very fast. So there is this stat that 50%, 53% of the users abandon a site if it loads in more than 3 seconds. Now, you do not want to let the user, go away from your website just because loading some parts of it was taking a lot of time. So why don't you cache some redundant things? And whenever the user comes up, it will basically show something that was already cached instead of showing the user a loading icon or a blank screen just because the network is slow. Okay, all right. What next? It is engaging. Why is it engaging? Why is a normal app engaging? Because when I click on, I'm saying click again and again. So when I tap on the icon, it opens up in full screen. It does not let me view any other thing. Whereas if I'm viewing it, viewing a web application on a browser, there is a bar at the top wherein I add the address or probably other things, refresh buttons and everything. Whereas when you are using a progressive web app, it will run exactly like your normal native application in terms of viewing it. The user won't be able to easily tell the difference, and it will run in full screen. So your user will have an immersive experience, a completely immersive experience in your application. So don't worry on that, as in you will be having a good, giving your user a good experience. And obviously, as I mentioned, there are push notifications to make it feel more real. Okay, moving on. Well, the question arrives, well, I do have some developers for both Android and iOS, but why do I choose to use progressive web apps? So I should modify that question and say, when should you choose to develop a native web application versus when should you choose when to develop a progressive web app? Well, let's go through these steps, what a user has to go through when he or she is installing an application literally. You show them a link on the App Store, on your website about the App Store or the Play Store. Say the user clicks on the Play Store and goes to the Play Store. The app link opens. They click on install. It downloads, it installs, which could be an app, anything greater than 3 MBs or 2 MBs or whatever the size is. And then even if the user was already signed into your web application on the browser, they will need to sign in again because the app got installed, right? And it is occupying now a lot of space, some space at least, on the device also. Whereas if you do not want your user to go through all those steps, that is, if the user is already browsing through your experience, you just want them to click a button and it automatically gets added to their home screen and it just works normally like an app, then you should not want your user to, install something else, which is like taking 3 steps. Just like those 3 seconds, you might lose a user if you are not having all the features of your web application on your of your mobile application on your web application. So yeah, I mean, you want to ultimately reduce the size of the things user downloads. You want to reduce the number of steps that the user should take to reach to your application, whether it be native or whether it be progressive web app. Okay, I hope we are clear till here, because this is a very important thing. And before moving on to some tools and some things which are associated patterns, I would also like to not leave you right now, but give you a certain question, which is, what features in my app are useful without the internet? For example, if you are making an application which is used to just pay the bills, and you cannot do a lot of things without the internet on it, and the most it does is storing some certain bills on the device itself, and it's not a game, obviously. So would you like to create a separate app and tell the user just for your product that they would download that app and use it? Probably you can skip it and you can use PWAs, right? So list down the answers to this question, and once you have that answer, you will get to know about what's the need for your user to be. Okay, moving ahead. How to implement progressive web apps. Now, how to implement is basically when you know that you have to install service worker, what else is also needed? There are 2 things basically: manifest and service worker. So let's compare a manifest with a manifesto. So whenever elections are coming up, or you're a candidate, you have a manifesto, or you're a party, you have a manifesto. Now, what does that tell? Well, it is the face of your party, right? the way people would basically interpret the way you would be handling your duties as the government if you are elected. And service worker, I'll come to that again. So manifest for PWAs is basically something which tells I would say, the device on which it is, to how will your app appear to the user in terms of, say, the color of the whole layout, maybe, or the icon which you are going to use for the app for different screen sizes, because someone might install it on a different size screen, and someone might install it on a smaller or larger screen, or even a tablet which runs on Android. So you want to handle all of that. So you need to create a manifest file, and it's just a JSON file, nothing very complicated. Certain keys that you have to put in it too. And second comes the service worker, which is again a JavaScript. The moment the browser detects a service worker, it will automatically understand that this has a PWA, obviously, if it is working fine. And you'll be able to see it in the developer tools that whether the service worker has been detected and installed onto the browser. Yes, the browser automatically takes it onto itself when obviously you put in the code, the right code into it. Now, manifest. What different things does it tell? Well, do you want your app to open in a standalone window, as in the full screen? What is the first page that the user should see when they open your app or the progressive web app, PWA? I would now refer to it as PWA. Okay. Next, what should the app look like on the home screen in terms of icons? Like, what should the icon be? Then there is a splash screen also. Splash screen is when you first launch an app till it is getting the data from the network or loading the first screen. You show a loading icon or the logo of your company. So that is your splash screen. Yes, you can add it also. And you can also tell the browser to open the app in landscape or portrait mode. Yes, you can do that all by a simple JSON file. And what does it take to put in the manifest? Well, simple. You put it into the head of the file. That's it. Yes. And you can easily, just Google it right now, and you can make it after today. Okay. All right. Now, service workers. Well, I've already gone through it again and again and again. So I'll just say that this is something that is going to be able to intercept the request from your device to the server. So there's a service worker which is running on the browser. It is not running on the main thread of the browser. Main thread as in the one which is running the JavaScript, which is interacting with your DOM. That is the HTML elements. It is not running on that. It is running on the browser itself. So even when you might close that tab, it will still keep running in the background. So if you send in some push notifications, if the service worker is able to be connected to the network, it can store it and display it later on. If you've asked service worker to download something in the background, download as in not a very big object. Obviously, the browser has limited storage allocated, which it gives out to each tab. So it can download it in the background, and you can keep on browsing the other websites, right? So that is one of the things. And yes, cache and push notifications for beginners. These are the two most important things. And as you can see in the diagram, service worker lies between the network and the app that is there. Okay, cool. So what are the tools that I can use for a service worker? Well, first one is Workbox. Now, Workbox is a set of amazing libraries that make your job easy to operate with the service worker. Yes. So your progressive web app, when you want to write some code, if you're utilizing these libraries, your life becomes easier, because some people who have created this have already tested a ton of things, have already run through the benchmarks of whatever things are needed, and they have released it openly for you. So here's the link: developers.google.com/web/tools/workbox, or you can just go to Google and type Workbox for PWA, and it will show up. Next up is Lighthouse. Well, one of my favorite tools. Earlier, Lighthouse was a separate tool which was probably added on to as a Chrome add-on, but now extension, I would say. Now it is integrated into your audits tab in the developer tools. What does Lighthouse do? Well, it analyzes your complete website for all the benchmarks that it should be showing up. in terms of the speed of the website on mobile devices, in terms of how it will behave in low network conditions, in terms of how fast is the website in terms of loading the first display, first rendering, second rendering, and what are the largest files that are there which you could reduce the size of. So everything. And search engine optimization. Yes, it will give you tips on what is there, what is not there. Even if your image tags do not have alt, it will show you. So it will tell you the security, performance, every benchmark. And today, it also gives you feedback in terms of telling you how to optimize, what things you should be changing, and best practices in terms of accessibility, right? So go ahead, explore it. It's there in your browser already. Next, maskable icons. Now, what is a maskable icon? On different operating systems, or I would say different devices, which run Android, icons might show up differently. Now, you do not want your square icon or maybe your icon without a background to appear with a white background if the operating system doesn't permit to. So you can use maskable icons from maskable.app, and it will automatically stretch or give that size to your icon for different devices. It can govern that. So very useful, because your icon is the first thing your user taps onto before reaching your application, and you need that. Next, yes, the best one, I would say, for me, PWA Builder. Now, quickly, as the line says, quickly and easily turn your website into an app. Yes, simple. Just go to the website, put in the URL of your website, and you'll find all the things that it says over there. And after all these tools that we have said, how to create a PWA, how do you get or onboard your user to, get into a PWA? Because users are usually used to too many use over there. So users are usually used to install an app from the App Store or Play Store, or they do not. They just go to Chrome and do it. So probably you can just tell them how easy it is to install your application on the home screen. But how do you do that? What are the best patterns to be utilized? Well, if you see, Chrome automatically shows this install at the top right on the browser. And you can, if your app is a PWA, it will be visible. But how do you intentionally do it? Well, just put put a fixed header at the top. This should be your top right. So you can put it over there, and it will be showing up all the time. So the user gets reminded again and again cognitively that there is an app that can be installed. Or maybe if there is a menu which the user interacts with again and again, you can just keep reminding them that, this gets a lot more easier if you are utilizing the app. That is, if you install the application. On the other side, well, in a different way, on the landing page, you could just have a custom install prompt that could show up after the user has interacted with your application for a certain amount of time. Or you could just put up a custom banner, just like an advertisement shows up about your app, that you can install this. Now, finally, PWA time, as in how many people use PWAs. Since now we've gone through the whole journey of from websites to web applications to mobile applications to PWAs to what are the different tools that we can use and to create them, and obviously the patterns to tell the user to install them. Who all are using them? These are all the travel companies which are using them. Yes, they have adapted to it and have gotten immense increment in the amount of the engagement that they get on their web applications with their users. Then there are more. Forbes and CNET have adapted to it. People utilize their app to read a lot of news, right? Or articles. So they have even adapted to it. And more so, companies like Ola and have adapted to it. And they have seen an increment again in the interaction that the users are having. And obviously this affects all the things, including retention of the user. The easier you make it for the user to get to you, that always plays a huge role, crucial role, I should say. So this being done, I guess this is almost all the things that I would have wanted to talk to you about. There are tons more things, and we could also always do a code lab live to, code our first PWA or maybe a complicated one. But today has been about this session, that is the what, how, and why of PWA. So here are some resources that I would leave you with before I'm back again. These things you can either Google, or you can just enter the link of web.dev/PWA and get the latest on what is happening on this. And this, I would say a huge thanks for staying along and listening to me. I hope this session has been useful to you. And whenever next time you are trying to develop an application, just take a step back and think again that question: what are the things that my user will be able to do without the internet on my app? So once you have the answers, you can go ahead either of the two ways. All right, cool. Thank you.